After assuming control of the Soviet Union in the early 1920s following the death of Vladimir Lenin, Joseph Stalin radicalized Soviet foreign policy to reflect his strenuous domestic agenda. In this historical documentary, we will discuss the measures Stalin took to build an infant nation in 1924 into a world superpower by 1941.
Gregory Churkin served as the People's Commissar for Foreign Affairs during the 1920s in Soviet Russia. All of the foreign policy conducted in the 1920s occurred during the Stalin-Trotsky struggle for power. After the Great War, diplomatic relation with Britain began in 1924, but swiftly ended in 1927 because of Comintern espionage and traitorous propaganda. Specifically, Russian spies infiltrated London and began an all-Russian cooperative society to spread Soviet ideas throughout Europe. In regards to Poland, the USSR supported the Polish communist effort to aid Józef Pilsudski's coup d'état in 1926, but Pilsudski rapidly became an anti-Soviet. After the Treaty of Rapallo was signed on April 16, 1922, the USSR and the German Weimar Republic agreed to military and economic collaboration. The treaty promised a cooperate and a spirit of mutual goodwill in the meeting of economic needs of both countries. However, the Comintern continued to sponsor radical groups in Germany that seek to overthrow Germany's Social Democrats in the Weimar Republic, thus ending a positive relationship between the nations. All attempts at promoting world revolution failed during the 1920s. As a result, security concerns became focused on a socialism and one-country policy.
The foreign minister during this time period was Maxim Litanov. In 1931 through 1932, non-aggression pacts were signed with the Cordon Sanitaire, which was established by the Paris Peace Conference. These pacts were signed with Poland, Finland, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. In 1933, the USA recognizes the USSR as a nation, and the USSR joins the League of Nations the following year. In 1936, Adolf Hitler denounces the Rapallo Treaty, creates an anti-Comintern pact with Italy and Japan, setting up Stalin to sign a pact in response, and this pact in response was an agreement with France and Czechoslovakia to assist one another in the case of German aggression. In 1938, Great Britain and France reconciled with Germany and Italy on the issue of the annexation of Austria and the partition of Czechoslovakia. After the 1930s, Stalin and the USSR fully realized that the West is willing to stand by and watch the invasion of Hitler throughout Eastern Europe.
Stalin's foreign policy in the 1940s was run by Foreign Minister Vyacheslav Molotov. Leading into the 40s, the USSR was already fighting an undeclared war with Japan near the Manchurian border. Also at this time, Germany had occupied the rest of Czechoslovakia in the violation of the Munich Agreement made in 1938. Britain and France were looking to the USSR to guarantee Poland's control against German aggression. Secretly, Hitler's foreign minister and Stalin made a non-aggression pact, which divides Poland and allows the USSR to occupy Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, and Bessarabia. The USSR was also involved in a war with Finland called the Winter War. The people in Finland relinquished the Karelian Isthmus to the USSR. In 1940, Hitler makes another deal with Stalin to allow him to have a sphere of influence in Persia and India, and Stalin wants to have a role in Southeast Europe. In 1941, Hitler attacked the USSR unexpectedly and leaves Stalin surprised.
At the beginning, the non-aggression pact saw some time of stability in the USSR as an end to the diplomatic relations. But in the end, it failed because the USSR and the Western powers failed to put their differences aside for the fear of Hitler's expansionism. The Nazi-Soviet pact allowed Stalin time to rearm and industrialize, which was a huge success as shown in the Soviet Union when they were able to defeat the Nazi troops at the end of World War II. It also provided a buffer zone against a German attack and recovered all the territory lost in the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk in 1918. The main failure of Stalin's foreign policy during this time period was the failure to secure an agreement with the Western powers in the search for collective security. This drove Stalin instead to search for insurance with Germany and Hitler. Furthermore, it could be argued that the agreement between the USSR and Germany is what ultimately sparked World War II, as Hitler now no longer feared a war on two fronts. Plus, Hitler thought that the Western powers could not intervene if they had an alliance with Russia.